Thank you so much for staying tuned. We appreciate you sitting back to really get to know what my analysts have to say about what transpired in Ebonyi State, where Federal High Court in Abuja told the governor that is not the right person to be in that seat. Yes, was like, look, you're an individual in a party. You won through that party. You left the party. That means that position, you don't deserve it. Many persons have been talking about this. Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, said that the PDP will reclaim Ebonyi governorship seats following defection of Governor David Umahi to the APC. Yeah, he said that. And of course, our governor said we're going to pursue this even to the Supreme Court. Of course, it's a stay of execution that you just can't take me out. The court said that should remain until formalities have been put in place. Don't forget the power also to appeal and take it further to the Supreme Court. I still have my analysts here with me in the studio and are going to really share their opinions and thoughts about this. I want to start off from you, Honorable Napoleon Agbama. Did that just come as a shock to you? Because many Nigerians are saying that they didn't see it coming. Were you shocked when you heard that judgment, or you're like, very, very happy to hear it?
Thank you very much, Wixie. When I heard about the judgment, I was very happy. At the beginning of this program, I said that I'm happy with the judiciary because they are the last hope of the common man and the sustainer of the democracy that we are today. With that judgment, I think it's a very good one. For a person to contest under one party, there is no, when you are, the ballot that you use in voting doesn't carry the name of any candidate. It carries the names of political parties. Therefore, if it has carried the name of you as a candidate, the vote is not personal to you, but it's for the party. If the party is saying they are reclaiming the votes, we have that vote, people vote for us. And it's a very right one in the right direction. And that will help the democracy to grow more in the country. We have just talked about PDP situation just now, APC situation. Yeah. And that is why I'm very confident that if they don't act on time, they may not have candidate because the judiciary, they are already there. And most of the example, like the barrister give about Akeredolu, you see that it's very clear. So therefore, let's watch, and I'm using this medium to commend the judiciary for that bold step. While we are waiting for the Supreme Court.
All right, now
and I believe the Supreme Court will not go otherwise.
All right, well, someone will just say that it's because it's giving an advantageous point, so to speak. And that's the reason why you're happy with it.
No. Let me say, it doesn't just affect only APC. It's both sides. Whether you are PDP or you are APC, the moment you go in as APC and you are now coming to PDP, it affects you too. Right. So it affects people. It make it better because at that level, as a governor, you are one of the senior stakeholders of that party. If there is any problem in that party, you are capable of solving or resolving it. While living, if you cannot resolve the problem in your party at that level, that means you are not capable of being a governor.
All right, I'll come back to you, Honorable. Well, Barrister Anakwe Mbanefo, you heard him. He said it's a good development. Thumbs up to the judiciary. He talked about resolving party squabbles and all that. Right now, the man has gone for appeal and, of course, stay of execution. Yeah. What can you make out of all this? We're talking about sanitizing our electoral process.
Yes, Ebonyi State as a state is now news because of that judgment that was given by Honorable Justice Eko of the Federal High Court Abuja. And on the face of it, on the face of the judgment, it would be very premature for any conclusive statement right now, given the fact that the Nigerian legal system affords you the opportunity of, going upstairs, moving from Federal High Court to a Court of Appeal, to the Supreme Court. It's only when it gets to Supreme Court that we can make a final statement on the matter. But as it is right now, the only problem we're having is the Constitution.
The Constitution?
The Constitution, yes. And the lawyers are looking at the Constitution, what the Constitution says about the removal of a governor. The Constitution says, can remove a governor can only be removed, either through death, impeachment, or resignation. Death, impeachment,
or resignation.
All right. And so the case of Ebonyi State is a very, very novel case, very novel, because the issues raised by the judge are very, very germane. But the sustenance of those issues raised by the judge, by the courts above, the Court of Appeal and the Apex Court, remains under ball game entirely. Okay. The case of Ebonyi State has two faces. It has the moral face and the legal face.
We'll come to that. Just so the moral and the legal face. Gabriel, what's your take on this? Were you surprised to hear the judgment?
Well, I wasn't very surprised because our Nigerian politicians are taking the judiciary for so long, for granted for so long.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, sir. I'm coming, sir. In the sense that politicians naturally do not obey court order. When a judgment favors a politician, it will hate the judiciary. It will give you the tip for the judiciary. But when the judgment is against the politician, the activist in me will cause that. And that is what happened in the case of Umahi. In fact, it is clear, sir, in section 221 of the Nigerian Constitution, that it is the political party that sponsors a candidate for an election. We do not operate independent candidacy. For you to contest an election, you must be under a political party. Just as Honorable said, when you are voting during election, it is the name of the party that appears, not the candidate name. By that, the vote acquired belongs to the political party. And that is what the judge has stressed. Now, although this issue has divided a lot of lawyers, even senior advocate, I was listening to Michael Zokomed the other day, standing on the side of Umahi, defending him, and standing on the ground of session 308 of the Nigerian Constitution, we talk about immunity of the governors, not being persecuted either in civil or criminal cases. But the judge, in his judgment, said that section of the Constitution cannot apply to this. That is different from this. I think the judge to some extent was looking at the moral aspect of this whole thing. Because you contest under a political party, people who campaigned for you, said you, told you what that you are the best candidate the party can produce. And suddenly you will defer to another political party. That is moral, that is witchcraft for crying out loud. So I think what the judge did rather was a very good one. Let's see. Now that you have appealed to the Court of Appeal, let's see what the Court of Appeal, the professor they will also give.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, viewers, is getting so hot in the studio. We have yet another guest to join us right now. We want to make some changes. When we return, we'll continue with this discussion. Don't go away.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is a TMI. You can call it this morning on it's all about what is happening right now in Ebonyi State. Some are jubilating, others are saying, no, the battle is just beginning, it's not over yet. Join us right now in the studio. He is a legal practitioner, political analyst. Join me to welcome Barrister Amin Alao. Welcome to TMI on this edition. I appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much, Wilson. Good morning, viewers.
All right. Now, without much ado, I want to really hear your own point of view for what he said, morality versus the law. If you take a look at the judgment delivered by, a federal high court in Abuja, is it based on morality or the law, from your own analysis?
As far as I'm concerned, the judgment is based on the law.
The law, yes.
You cannot be talking of morality if you are going against the law. You may only at most say that it is, the judge decided to tilt in favor of morality in interpreting the law. You cannot set aside the law and be interpreting morality. You must follow the law. And that explains why sometimes when a judgment is delivered, people will say this is injustice. No, that is the law. Sometimes you see a court discharging and acquitting an accused person, saying that I knew you committed the act. I really did it. I'm not the one setting you free. It is the law that is setting you free. Possibly the prosecution has not been able to prove the case. So you cannot completely abandon the law. I'm talking of morality. If you look at the old judgment, you will see that it's in accordance with the law.
With the law. All right. Now, we've had similar cases, similar judgment, but it didn't swing according to what happened in Ebonyi State. This wasn't the first time this type of case was brought before a court. You get to hear, forget about it. The individual do have the right to decamp if he or she wants to, and they're still there in the house. What do you think made this different, Honorable?
Thank you very much. I think what make this very different is because it affects the chief executive, the number one citizen of Ebonyi State. Me as an individual, if I'm not in a position that I've elected position, so to say, just a party member, even a day to election, I can cross to any party. Nobody will say no to it, but not after elected as the chief executive under the particular party. Like I said just now, the ballot box does not carry the name of the individual that is contesting. It is the party. Therefore, if I'm leaving while I'm on that seat, I should leave the vote with the people that has the party that has that vote. And that is what the man has said at that judgment. Like I said at the beginning too, that the judiciary is the hope of the common man. And what we are hoping is the hope of the common man, is the hope that we make democracy in Nigeria to be sustained. We are learning. The presidential system that we are in are being borrowed from America. And that is the system we are using here. But we have not played fully the way that America is playing the presidential system of democracy. And that is why when you come, there are so many laws which is the system that judiciary gradually will clear. Just a very few weeks ago, the National Assembly passed a bill of local government autonomy. But do we really have the full autonomy for local government now? No, as it be practiced over there. So therefore, not to talk of revenue allocation or whatever, resources that are accrued to states or whatever, the federal just sit on top. It is not so over there that we are imitating. Gradually, sanity is going to come in. And the people that we are hoping that is going to help us to bring this sanity very quickly are the judiciary. And I believe they have wake up to that responsibility.
All right, now you keep citing the examples of Supreme Court judgment in Ondo State and the rest of them. This isn't the first time we are having similar situation, but the judgment, shockingly to so many Nigerians, is quite different. So what happened?
Yes, like I was saying before my latest friend came in, I was telling you that this matter has two faces, the legal face and the moral face. Yes, from the moral face, the Nigerians are saying that that it is only a man who doesn't have morality that can garner about 393,343 votes as against 800 votes. And then just overnight, because of his personal ambition, he abandoned the political party that brought him to power and abandoned the electorate that took time, left all they were doing, and committed their time and their resources, and then voted you, maybe a governor of a state. And just overnight, you abandoned them and you walked away without caring about the consequences. And so, the judge, in that judgment, that judgment, emphasized on this, that as far as he's concerned, that it was wrong for the deputy governor and governor to have done this. Again, don't forget, why I was making the emphasis on the Constitution before, is that part of our problem is the Constitution. The 1999 Constitution as amended did say that any legislature, be it state or federal legislature, who was elected a legislator, but later now decamps from his party to another party, that particular legislator automatically loses his seat. as a legislature. In this case now, like my brother says, that why we are making, while there's too much noise about all this, because the man involved and his deputy governor are executive. In that judgment, the Federal High Court also said that the state government legislators that moved with the deputy governor to PDP also loses their seats as legislators. Those ones are not going to Court of Appeal because it is a Supreme Court issue. It's a constitutional issue. The Constitution have said that the moment you come, you automatically lose your seat.
Okay.
What we are saying now is this: if Section 308 of National Constitution as amended, it says that government has immunity. Is that a license for governors and deputy governors to engage on illegalities against the people that elected them to power? And so I think the National Assembly still has much to do. In looking at that particular section of the Constitution, since it has been abused, where there will be need to amend that particular section.
I'll come back to you. Hold on. You have enough time. Just calm down. I'll come back to you.
There's something to say here.
I know, because this particular situation, this is not the first time it has happened in Nigeria. Some contested it and they lost. Nobody lost their position, nobody lost their seats. How come this judgment is different when compared to previous judgments, still from the same judiciary? Barrister Amin, before we go on a break, go ahead.
Thank you very much. You see, one thing you should take note of is that judgments are based on the facts, the evidence, the proof before the court. When you file your pleadings, any fact not pleaded goes to no issue. It may be a fact existing, but if you do not plead it, it goes to no issue. The judge will not go to the streets. I'll be looking for facts. So if you fail to plead copiously, that because you can defect, of course, during emergency, if there is crisis as defined by the Constitution, you can defect. So possibly, but if you fail to prove in your defense that there is crisis, there is emergency that warranted me to defect, and you are feeling, judicial precedents have established that people have been defecting, can also defect.
All right, now you just hold on, you continue with our chain of thought after this break. Don't go away, we'll be right back to continue with the discussion. Do stay tuned.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is TMI, Sunday's edition with Wilson and Marshall. It's all about the judgment of the Federal High Court on the governorship position in Ebonyi State. Barrister Aminwe, would you went on that break because the question still remains. Are you now saying that others that have similar issue were not able to prove to the court beyond reasonable doubt for them to have their seat retained? Why not the Ebonyi State governor wasn't able to prove beyond reasonable doubt? That was the reason why he was given an ultimatum to leave the office. Thank God for the state execution, so to speak, according to his party members. Take it up from there.
In fact, in civil cases, you don't need to prove beyond reasonable doubt. It's on balance of probabilities. It's only in criminal cases that you must prove beyond reasonable doubt, and any iota of doubt will be resolved in favor of the accused person who is the benefactor of all doubts. But in civil cases, prove on balance of probabilities. Now, as I was saying, the mere fact that some have succeeded in defecting, if you defect when the necessary conditions and circumstances are on ground, it's a different thing when you defect when those conditions are not on ground. If, for example, now the governor is trying to argue that, there is problem in PDP nationwide, and so the court ought to have noted that there is problem in PDP nationwide. If you fail to reflect that in your pleadings and to properly establish that in your pleadings, then of course, if the other party pleaded that the circumstance that warrant you defecting is not prevalent, and you fail to contest that, you fail to explain your own side of the story, of course you should know the like just said that the third and fourth defendants, the governor and the deputy, cannot say they were oblivious of the consequences of their acts of defection. That having defected to another party, they cannot hold onto the votes of the plaintiff to remain in office. That the option open to them is to vacate the office of the governor and deputy governor essentially for the plaintiff, that is PDP, and then to stay in their new party and wait for when the next gubernatorial election will be contested. They can go and contest, because now you have simply abandoned 393,343 votes of PDP, and you have adopted 81,703 votes of APC. And in election, under democracy, it is the majority of votes that counts. You need to merit sitting in office because you have won the election by scoring the highest number of votes. Now you now abandon your highest number of votes, and then you went to adopt the votes that was not the highest. And then what do you expect the court to do? You, as a candidate, you are not the party. It has been mentioned earlier on that it is the party that was voted for. You are the candidate representing the party. So once you pull out, you are not the party. The party has the right to bring in other candidates to fill in that office.
I'll come back to you, Barrister Amin. Now, Honorable, you heard him, all of you, to the fact that what they did according to the law, and of course, morality, so to speak, is not right. The facting, the people like saying that they didn't have much problem then in Ebonyi State. Now, do you see others taking a leaf from what really happened, occasioned by the judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja to go ahead and contest the campaign of some office holders of these political parties?
Yeah, like the barrister said, which we all earlier collaborated, that until the Supreme Court final judgment, one cannot just give a final verdict or saying over the situation, because there is still a court of appeal before you now get to Supreme Court. And I do know, probably, before you now get to the Supreme Court, my question, tenure may expire. But however, the judgment must still be given to give a lesson to the political actors. Like I said, I was very happy when I heard the judgment, because it's going to bring sanity into politics. If you are in Party A, you must, before you be in Party A, it was from your own voluntary mind that both the caliber of persons that are there and the constitution of the party is in agreement with you. Are you aligned with it? Therefore, if there is going to be problem or whatever reason that you are going to leave, it must be a very serious one, like you said, that one will say, yes, that is the situation that makes you to leave. And in the case of Umahi, I think there was no problem of such. Even if there was problem, like you said, it wasn't pleaded. And I do believe that if the upper court agree with this lower judgment, it will bring sanity to the politics in the country. It will make every party to be more serious in early planning and in early execution or whatever their plan is. And that is what, if this had been a judgment or an agreed laid down law in Nigeria before now, I think what is even happening in APC now wouldn't have happened. Because people just take it as left that anything can happen. Like somebody said, the former colleague that was here just now, that anything can happen in Nigeria, because they believe that we cannot move according to the constitution that is guiding us, that there are some persons or some power that is bigger than that. Nobody is bigger than the constitution. So the constitution is very clear on the situation, and it must be followed. And the courts, and I believe that is what they stand for. And I commend their effort.
Over to you, Barrister Mbane, for, well, people are commending the court's effort, but right now, for what you said, what you rightly concur to, the final place, or what I said, the resting place of this whole tussle is at the apex court, that is the Supreme Court. Now, with all these things happening, do you see people, going towards this independent candidacy just to avoid this kind of squabble? It was a party that put you there, the party did this for you. Don't forget that it's in the bill, independent candidates.
Yeah, the law, as it were, is a living organism. The law is a living organism, so there are always chances of improving on where we're coming from. You understand? But the problem we have here is that the 1999 Constitution, as amended, is a document against itself. We have so many conflicting sections in the Constitution. The same Constitution that says that governors has immunity. It's the same Constitution that says that, you have the freedom of association. It's the same Constitution that says that if there's no crisis in your party and you live at your own peril. The same document that says that if you're a legislator and you decamps to another party, you lose your seat permanently. The foundation of the 1999 Constitution was very faulty. The preamble of that document says, we, the people of Nigeria, make this constitution for ourselves. We all know that was a military constitution. We all know that there was no time we, the people of Nigeria, sat down to make that constitution. In Atiku Abubakar's case, against Olusegun Obasanjo, the Supreme Court held that Mr. President, at the executive, cannot unilaterally remove Atiku Abubakar as a vice president of Nigeria. That Atiku Abubakar has a right to choose any party he wants to, or go to any party he wants to. The argument was that whether as a serving vice president, he can leave PDP to ACN and run for presidency of this country. So the speaker in that case gave the judgment based on the 1999 Constitution as amended on the section that talked about the man's freedom of association. In the case of Umahi against Rotimi Amaechi, the Supreme Court said that it is the party that's run for election and not the candidate.
The candidates.
That in that case, that Umahi never, the time he was picked as a candidate for PDP, the time allowed by the Electoral Act to choose a candidate has long expired. And that the person that was the right candidate for that party was Rotimi Amaechi. And as such, Rotimi Amaechi should be returned as the governor of Rivers State. The Supreme Court held that it was the party that ran for election and not individuals. Now, we salute the rare courage of Justice Eko of the Federal High Court while removing Umahi and his deputy and legislators. But we look at the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, issues could be raised as to whether the Federal High Court had jurisdiction to even hear the case at the first time. And this judgment will help our legal jurisprudence to grow. Because before it gets to the Supreme Court, we must have learned so many lessons from that particular judgment.
Okay.
And so we salute this courage, and we share the view that this will also lead the National Assembly from looking at the document called 1999 Constitution and looking at it holistically. And then see the proper amendments that need to be made.
All right.
So that we can avoid political and legal logjams in the future.
Thank you so much. Well, Mr. Alao Ali, you're going to have the last line on this discussion because I'm getting strong signals that our time is up. The lessons learned from this.
You see,
That's a good question.
yes. The lessons learned from this one, you will say that of the three arms of government, not because I'm a good practitioner.
I was coming to that already.
Judiciary. You see, the judiciary remains the one that is assisting to actually ensure that there is discipline, there is sanity in this country. we have been saying that the 1999 Constitution is a military constitution. We never sat down to draft the constitution like we of Nigeria. But ask me, those in the National Assembly, up to date, they have not taken steps to set aside that constitution and now say, okay, we are bringing in a new constitution. Democracy has been on now for how many years? So, and that it's not becoming difficult for us to actually say that that constitution is not ours. Because despite the fact that it came through the military, we have already ratified it. That is the same constitution that we are talking about now, that is being relied upon by the Supreme Court, by the Court of Appeal. And you cannot blame judiciary for that. The lawmakers are to make the law, legislature. Then the executive, they are to implement. Now, a big lesson for executive rascality should stop. I'm talking of humility, section 308. But now, you must be careful not to have internal problem. If you have external problem, your wife can join you to fight, or your members of the family can join you to fight. But if you have an internal problem in your family, how can you win that war? Now, they are having a problem with the party, PDP. And so that is the serious problem. So they should learn to be very, very careful and know that, oh, if you violate the law, the judiciary is waiting to actually interpret the law, not to punish you, but to ensure that the supremacy of the law is upheld. Nobody is above the law. We have to ensure that we are properly guided. Call in your lawyers. Whatever step you want to take, let them advise you. You see, we have many who will not even consult their lawyers. Possibly, you want to pay consultation fees. And then you take wrong steps. Eventually, after committing the act now, you now come to lawyer. Yeah. Oh, come and save me. I've already committed myself.
Thank you.
So let's wait and see.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Our time is up. Someone saying that this is not the end of the situation. Someone saying that this may just go through. I don't know because... Okay, fine. 30 seconds each to summarize your point. 30 seconds.
Thank you very much,
yes.
Yeah. I think the lesson for every political party is to respect the party constitution. And if there is any gentleman agreement, to fully agree with it.
All right.
And at the same time, respect and agree.
Thank you.
With Nigeria constitution.
Thank you so much. Madam, for 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. I was privileged to be here earlier, and we discussed about the crisis in APC. We will advise that the APC should try and put their house in order, and that where they fail to do that, they will also become a victim of the judiciary.
Okay, thank you.
And again, on the issue of Umahi, Ebonyi State, executive rascality should stop, impunity should stop,
all right.
Respect for the rule of law should be embraced.
Thank you.
And like I said earlier, we salute the courage of the judge.
Thank you.
We look forward to the pronouncement of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. You've said it all, Ella. I mean, thank you so much. I appreciate a wonderful analysis. When you've heard them, let's see if all this process emanates will really give us clean environment to conduct our 2023 general elections. Okay, because that is what Nigeria is truly aiming for, is a democracy. It's just morphing, metamorphosizing, taking out the bad, bringing in the good, balancing up everything. It's just all about balance. With all these things happening, do you think that our democracy will be sanctified, so to speak? I appreciate you for taking out time to watch this edition of This Morning on ITV. On this edition, you can actually give me feedback. All you need to do is send me a message on my Twitter handle at Wilson, or Marshall Wilson, you know. That's all you need to do. Just go on Twitter, type it, and just what you feel about it. Or you can even comment on our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, type onto ITV Radio Benin. You go to the videos, you click on it, you listen, you comment, so I can get to know how to really serve you better in terms of education, information, and of course, entertainment. Their opinions is highly theirs. It has nothing to do with ITV, but the followers and regulations governing the airwaves. Top-notch analysis. Gentlemen, appreciate all of you. See you next week Sunday, God willing. Bye for now.